Vince McMahon and then Sasha Banks. There's a lot going on over here in the WWE camp, and it's like it's starting to really fall apart. Because I remember, like, if you are a wrestling fan and you really hated Vince McMahon's booking, if you was really there and you sat through a lot of stuff during the John Cena era, you was probably pissed off and you probably wanted him to go. Nowhere did anybody think that it was going to be from cancel culture. Everybody probably thought, you know what, it's going to be old age, or God forbid he might just croak. But Vince was never going to leave that chair under his own power. It was like, what could possibly get him out of there? Even the XFL couldn't get him out of there. But now is cancel culture. The one thing that gets pretty much anybody up out of here. That's what gets him up out of here for stuff that was done like 20, 30 years ago, as well as like other stuff that people just bringing up just now. I mean, there was stuff people was talking about. There's like $3 million worth of hush money going around. I mean, there's all type of allegations from like the 80s and stuff. And I believe the 80s stuff is probably true though. Cause they used to wild out back then, and they didn't think social media or anything. They didn't know any of that stuff then. They thought they could get away with everything completely. Now somehow all that old stuff is documented, and it just come up right when you don't want it to. And now Vince is up out of here. Stephanie hightailed it a while back, not too far back, and then she's coming back, and then it's crazy. Like, you probably got more news on this, but what's happening? We'll start with Vince, and then we can talk about Sasha. Sasha, I still overall think she made the best move, and there's no news on Naomi being released. It's only Sasha, right?
So, but the Sasha thing is also a rumor. Like, it's not confirmed.
It's not
that
confirmed.
She's gone.
It's just a rumor. Okay.
She hasn't even confirmed it. She said something online. It was like, it's crazy what people make up. Like, she's like, I leave social media. This is why I stay off of social media. It's crazy what people make up, is what she said. So there's no confirmation that she's gone. Okay. But the only confirmation we have is that she dyed her hair brown, like back to its natural color.
Okay, I would imagine so. I remember Eva Marie used to do that. It used to be weird. It would be like she'll have red hair on the time she has to be on air, and then literally would dye it black, like outside of it. It was just like, why would you just leave it? Like, I don't know, because she had to make it jet red again. It was like super red. It was like cartoon red, and then I'm like, okay, all right, because she still had to do. Like, you remember Total Divas? Like, she still did Total Divas, and on Total Divas, the red would, like, fade a little bit. And then next thing you know, it's just black on her regular social media. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and then you got to do it again? I'm like, I know that take a while for as much hair as you got.
But, for Vince, apparently there was an employee that he was having an affair with, and was rerouting funds to this employee. From my understanding, like, randomly her salary got doubled, which is what the board of the board is like, because they have all their investors and everything, and that's the thing that they're checking, because it was like, why did she just start getting paid more out of nowhere? And then all of a sudden, it was when she was let go, it was the $3 million of hush money to, like, not talk about the affair. And apparently this was a whole thing between Vince and John Laurinaitis. So more than likely, John Laurinaitis is going to take the majority fall for this. Now keep in mind, so Vince stepped down as CEO, which is what he did when they were going through the steroid scandal back in the 90s. So he stepped down as CEO. However, he is still in charge of creative. So he's still in charge. Everything. It's just he's no longer has the CEO title. Stephanie had stepped away, and now she's back as interim CEO until all of this gets settled.
That's crazy.
It's just I don't know where I see this stuff, and I'm just like, why? Like, in my head,
you know what? Like, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, Vince is getting crucified now, but this is like corporation after every corporation. They all have these kind of cases because people be up in there horny. Like, it is what it is. It's bad.
why don't use your own money? Like, he makes enough that he could have like paid this employee the normal wage in thing, like in, and then everything extra he wanted to give could have been from his own pocket in his own money, and then the $3 million could have came from his own money, and the investors would not know anything about it. But it's the fact that you're rerouting company funds to do this, that's what got you caught.
Yeah, it's them tax cuts. They want them tax cuts.
But he wanted an affair and tax cuts. Okay. Yep.
I saw something else on one of them social media sites. I think apparently there was also like a mention of a sexual assault case or something. Not a case, but it was alleged that he sexually assaulted a referee back in the 80s. It was something like that. I don't even know if that was a real story or not. It was literally meme style how it was presented. But I think the gist of it was she was in his I think she wanted a raise. She went to go talk to him, but they had the conversation in his limo, and that's when he sexually assaulted her, I guess. And so all they did was show a photo of her in a referee outfit, gave her name. It looked more black and whitish, and it was like something apparently that happened in the 80s. That's all I know on it.
In the 80s?
Yeah, that was the Hulk Hogan era. They still had it. Everything still.
They had female referees?
Huh? Say it again.
They had female referees in the 80s?
Oh, well, I don't know. From my understanding, it was always Earl Hebner. Like, Earl Hebner was the very first referee.
It was Earl and Dave. Rest in peace, Dave.
Yeah, he just passed away too this week, I think.
Yeah. So, but I always thought, it was those two, and that was it. Like, I thought the woman referee was way later. But then again, another report also came out accusing it was a former wrestler, Rosa. They were like, this is the person he had an affair with. And everyone's like, I thought the report said it was a WWE lawyer and everything. So, like, people are just, like, rumor has it, and then just throwing out
there was the mention of, I think it was was her name Rosa and Michael Hayes?
Rosa Mendez.
Mendez. Yeah, I remember those because I think, you remember that time she was literally there for, like, almost, like, over a year and wasn't doing nothing until she got on to Total Divas for a second. Like, apparently she was only on payroll. Like, this is alleged, but I think hardcore wrestling fans know this. Like she was basically, like Michael Hayes' girl, basically. But like his girl that, like, he just got sexual favors from her, basically. Like, just to keep it frank. Like that was like her only reason for being there. And it kind of made, well, I don't want to say it made sense, but she really wasn't on TV at all. She wasn't doing nothing for like a good year and a half, and she wasn't getting released. And apparently it was supposed to be like a Michael Hayes move, and then the company found out about it, but it never made real headlines, and all they did was fine him. Like, they fined him, and then they still let her stay there. And then I think publicly they were, quote unquote, in a relationship at one point until she finally was let go. Like, that was a thing. But they put her on Total Divas so that it didn't look like she wasn't doing anything. Like, but during that time frame. But I think they fined him like a lot. Like they covered, but they fined him. I think it was like $500K. If I'm not mistaken. It was something like that. But yeah, and so this kind of stuff happens in these corporations, So yeah. But the crazy part about it for me is just like, this is how we get rid of Vince. Like, after all this time, like, this is, and it's like, it's not even really 100%. It's just, he is still at the same time up in age. It seemed like he had an exit plan in 2020, because before, everything had went down, his whole thing was I was going to resurrect XFL, you know, and then it just didn't work because of the lockdowns. And so afterwards, The Rock buys it. We don't even know what's going to happen with that, but he buys it. And Vince just went back to still just being in the background of WWE. But it looked like that was going to be his out. And is like at that time, people thought it was going to be the Shane or Triple H and Stephanie as a couple. And then so many other stuff was happening. They went through like a year of firing like 100 people almost. Probably more.
And then Shane kept making everything about himself. Triple H had the heart thing, and he had to step down. And Stephanie was taking care of him, and then they brought in Nick Khan, and he just been like, everybody's saying this Nick Khan is doing this, and he's just taking them all down from the inside. That's the phrase. They were like, he took down Shane, took down Stephanie, and now he's coming for Vince.
I think some of the older Vince stories is probably true, because I still remember the Jimmy Superfly Snuka thing where it was just understood that Jimmy apparently killed a girlfriend, and he was in the middle of a trial while he was like in his older age, and then he passed away in the middle of it, and they kind of just like that was the end of it. But in that story, what had happened was Vince showed up with a suitcase full of money or something back in the day, and that was it. And they let Jimmy Superfly go, and his name was not tarnished at all until the last minute. But like years went by, a long time went by, and so that, and I think that's confirmed. Like he showed up with some money, or he showed up with a suitcase, and we quote unquote don't know what's in the suitcase. It was like, what else would people want? What else is in there? A title belt? Like he showed up with something that made people stop coming after Jimmy Superfly Snuka for a long time, and they waited until he was. They waited until he was in his old age to come at him, and it's like they're kind of doing this with Vince too. If the other story is correct, because it's like, didn't that happen 30 years ago? And it's like, yo, when they get older, they come for everybody. When you get older, like when they feel like, I don't know, it's crazy because it's like at the same time he's got to be. It's like, how many more years does he have? Even if you take the scandal away, it's like just for being like the head of WWE. It's like, I'm not trying to wish him in the grave at all. Like he probably still got plenty more time. But I mean, just being in charge of a company like that, period. Like, I don't know. So this might be his out, because it seemed like he had an out with XFL. I don't know how he was going to do both. I mean, it's like, why put that stress on yourself? You're a millionaire in your 70s. What are you doing? You're a millionaire in your 70s. But according to him, he never felt like he was going to work whenever he was doing wrestling. So he's obviously passionate about it.
He just be like, nope, not this, rewrite, redo.
Yeah, tearing up whatever, and it's whatever he wants, no matter what it is. But this was something that finally got him up out of there, momentarily. But it's just cancel culture takes out everybody. It seems like if anything takes you out, it's gonna be cancel culture. Yeah, that's the craziest thing. So I don't know, but if Sasha Banks is actually gone, I think she should call herself Mercedes Banks. I think that would. Yeah. She's somewhat Teflon though. Like, all she has to do is, like, Snoop Dogg will keep her name alive until she transitions somewhere. But I think she could do like a CM Punk kind of thing where she do movies, not MMA, but movies.
but not only that, she's already acted in The Mandalorian, and her role was very well received. Yeah, that they could do a spinoff of just the Bounty Hunters. Yeah, and she would have Disney money. Like, she has a Disney role that she can always return to. Like, she's good. She's straight.
Yeah, she's hot in as far as like her name value right now in the wrestling world. So
Naomi has a good support system. Like there was the whole the push Naomi. There was it was the push Naomi like movement. People are still behind her. Like she could pop up anywhere she wants. She'll be fine. And then her husband is like part of the hottest thing in WWE, so they good.
Yeah. Plus, if she stays married to them, you and The Rock's family is like at some point, like shout out to The Rock. I think he just bought Tamina a house. I don't know if you saw that video. It was like, because I don't know, is she completely gone from WWE or is she still there?
Oh, she's there. She's
there.
Yeah, nobody's meaner than Tamina.
But shout out to The Rock, who's making sure like everybody good no matter what. So I did see that. Yeah, I think everybody in this situation is good, including Vince, which is funny because it's like, at the end of the day, like, he's still got money. He's not. He's lived his time. Like, if the only thing that can mess it up is they just somehow decide, nah, you gonna have to do some jail time, which is somebody in his case. I mean, he could pay that off and still have a lot of money. And then somehow make more on the back end just by still owning a percentage of WWE. So I don't see anything bad. I mean, he's still probably a terrible person. But, it's funny because there was a lot of stuff that was said about Ric Flair over the years. It seemed like we calmed down on Ric Flair again. And he's back to being a positive name in the limelight. I don't know. It's like, I remember there was just a story about him in the plane that had came out, and people cared for like 2 seconds, and then it was like he's back to being Ric Flair again. It's like whatever. Yep. So I don't know.
Let's also not forget he's trying to come out of retirement for one more match.
Jesus Christ! And then he wants to face Hulk Hogan, or somebody said Hulk Hogan wants to face him. It's like, all right, y'all gonna learn. Go right ahead. Y'all gonna learn. Because I can only imagine Undertaker versus Goldberg, but them, all right, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, we about to see it. So if that's what you want to do, all right,
it's gonna be bad.